Are you serious? Are you serious? We've got apocalyptic events taking place around the globe, folks, besides the fact that Israel released 26 prisoners to the Palestinians, and the Palestinians responded by firing 2 rockets at Israel, and Israel responded by flying in and striking the Palestinian locations and blowing up their launch sites of Hamas. They said now they're ready to talk about peace. What? Peace? Peace? Sudden destruction. Well, destruction is going on in Egypt. It's a fluid situation as the armies decided they've had enough of the protesting and sit-ins and rioting of the Muslim Brotherhood. They're crushing them. There's somewhere between 95 and 800 people dead. Still a fluid situation, absolutely out of control. But there's more. There's been a submarine explosion. The nation of India, I want to thank Sheila of Alabama for this, but an Indian Navy submarine crippled today, Wednesday, August the 14th, 2013. It was crippled by a pair of explosions that killed at least some of the 18 sailors aboard, has been damaged in another deadly blast. And it's just, and had been brought back in service a few months ago. This happened back in 2010. Well, now another submarine, India today, explosion, and there are people dead. A fatal explosion. We're still waiting to find out how many have died, as another submarine has been lost at sea, according to the nation of India. While that's going on, there is breaking news released out of Japan. Fukushima nuclear plant. Of course, since the earthquake that hit Japan, Fukushima nuclear plant, when the earthquake hit on March the 11th, 2011, and this earthquake of 8.9, rattling the teeth of Tokyo for 6 minutes, bringing a tsunami inland 6 miles, left 6 nuclear reactors melting down. Well, now they are announcing it's a state of emergency now, leaking 300 tons of radioactive water in the ocean every day. 300 tons of radioactive water is leaking into the ocean every day. Totally out of control. Japan's nuclear watchdog has now released information that the Fukushima state of emergency situation, 300 tons of radioactive water seeps into the ocean. It's now clear that the Tokyo Electric Power Company has engaged in a 2.5-year cover-up, immersed in the magnitude of biblical proportions. Matter of fact, this radioactive leak is the largest in the history of the world. It makes Chernobyl back in the days of Russia look like a small spill of a gallon of gasoline in comparison. There's not even a comparison, folks. What's going to happen? The nation of Japan is going to slowly suffer and die of cancers of radiation poisoning. And the waters are greatly polluted in the air, the land, and the sea. And now you're going to hear of more contaminated radioactive ocean water coming ashore along the coast of California, Oregon, Washington, and on up all the way into Canada as this slowly works its way here. The earth is greatly polluted. Meanwhile, we had an earthquake, 6.6, Colombia, that really shook some stuff up. It's not the only earthquake. A 4.6 in the Philippines and a 4.8 in the Philippines. A 5.0 earthquake in Tonga. We've had a 4.9 in Russia, a 4.5 earthquake in Indonesia, a 4.5 in Peru, a 4.7 in Indonesia. We had a 5.3 in Mexico, and a 4.4 in the Philippines, a 4.6 in Japan. It's the last thing they need with nuclear radiation leaking. a 4.4 in China, and a 4.6 in Tonga. All of that going on also. So there is problems everywhere. Catastrophes. A typhoon that hit China really had to evacuate over 150,000 people between Hong Kong and the mainland China. There's been some damage there. We're still waiting on more reports there. Also, there was a hostage situation in Louisiana. The police and a bank hostage situation. And the man that created it killed one of the hostages before he was shot and killed by police. That was going on down in St. Joseph, Louisiana. Unbelievable situations developing there. And there's also, remember the guy that made the YouTube video insulting the Prophet Muhammad? And he was blamed for the entire Benghazi situation. He's been rotting in jail for over a year on a very minor misdemeanor charge. They finally released him. He's been released to a halfway house in California. We'll have to wait and see. He's a Coptic Christian, 56-year-old Egyptian, Coptic Christian that made this 13-minute YouTube video that President Barack Obama's administration, Susan Rice, after 12 times changing their talking points, decided it was this guy's fault that Benghazi went into total chaos, burning down the United Nations embassy and killing 4 American diplomats before they finally agreed that it was actually an attack by Al-Qaeda. But we've never really got the truth on that yet. But what's it matter? As Hillary Rodham Clinton said, what does it matter? Don't worry, she'll be your next president of the United States, probably in the year 2016. If the dream the Lord gave me in 2008 comes true, she was called a queen in the dream. And all the Christians had to line up against the walls in a big ballroom as she entered for fear of what she would bring upon the earth. You know what? We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today in our show from 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss it at www.paulbegleyprophecy.com. Now, Saturday night, I'm going to be a guest on Blog Talk Radio. There's a show called Day of the Lord Radio. Day of the Lord Radio. The hosts are Daniel Hatt and John Pounders, and they're going to be pounding. Their Bible prophecy. They cover Bible prophecy and current world events. Their show's only been on, I think they've only been on the air maybe 6 months, but these are 2 very energetic young men. I actually met Daniel Hatt. He showed up at a Perry Stone Bible Prophecy Conference in Louisville, Kentucky, when he heard I was going to be there. Introduced himself. We had a great conversation. I had a nice conversation with both these gentlemen last night. I've accepted an invitation. I will be their guest on Saturday night on Blog Talk Radio. I'll put the link right here below. You can click right on it and take you right to the show's page. You'll be able, please join us Saturday night. Their show begins at 9 p.m. Eastern. 9 p.m. Eastern. And I'll be their guest Saturday night on the Day of the Lord Radio with Daniel Hatt and John Pounders. It should be a really good broadcast. These guys are just good old boys from Evansville, Indiana. So, and they really do love the Lord. They've got a powerful understanding of the Word, and it should be a lot of fun. So please, if you enjoy my ministry and you would like to listen in on these new talk show hosts and their interview of me on Bible prophecy, we're going to be talking about, matter of fact, we're going to be talking about the Hosea prophecy. I'm going to give my testimony. We're going to talk about the Hosea prophecy and how that's continuing around the world. We're going to talk about Texas, the blood lake in Texas, and all the water turning blood red around the world. We'll also talk about the sun turning dark for, and the from the stratosphere thing, the comet Ison, what's going on in the stars in the heavens, the 4 blood moons over Jerusalem. What does that all mean? And we're also going to talk about the sounds of the apocalypse that's still being heard around the world, the Middle East, and a whole lot more. So it should be a great interview. I hope you're there. Be there. Where? Blog Talk Radio. The name of the show, Day of the Lord Radio. Day of the Lord Radio. Click on the link below to take you there. They've already got a page ready. They're expecting a great broadcast. That's Saturday night, August 17th. That's Saturday night, August 17th at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'll be the guest of the Day of the Lord Radio with host Daniel Hatt and John Pounders. It should be a real good time in the Lord. God bless.